Thursday, February 27th, and we are live on WagerTalk TV. This is PuckTime. I'm Andrew. I've got Carmine and Bryan with me, as we usually do on Thursdays. Guys, a small slate we had on Wednesdays, but lots of winners, and I thank all of you for joining me on my 5% play. Big third period with the Avalanche team total. I'm happy we didn't need the empty net goal, but going into the third period with not much offensive production, and we end up getting 5 goals. No empty net goals is really nice. So thanks to all of you guys for joining me. Plus 115, plus 120, whatever you got. We cashed that 5% ticket. We have 3 games we're going to break down today. Some props as well, sides, totals, team totals, you name it. All kinds of great stuff. And it's a jam-packed slate here on the Thursday. Carm, good morning to you, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I was glad to see you won that one. I was watching it, even though I had no vested interest in it. And then, I was about to go to sleep, and I remembered that I gave out even though it wasn't a client play, that I did say the Vancouver Canucks winning 3-2 in LA. So I log in and I see it's 2-2. I'm like, I got to watch overtime in this one. The Canucks get the win as the underdog plus 115 in LA. So I was pretty happy about at least giving out a winner on the show that if you guys put through a little bit of that pizza money on, you're eating some pizza today. Please, no pineapple on your pizzas. Just remember that public service announcement. And 1-0 Winnipeg Jets for me yesterday, 1-1 in soccer. So another winning day for me. It's been a good run. Especially the last 10 days or so in February. So let's see if we can keep that run going. And speaking of keeping things going, Bryan Leonard on today's show. Always looking forward to having him on. Bryan, welcome to the show. I've got a little, not a bone to pick with you, but you have a 5% play, first of all, up tonight. Why don't you mention that, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to go at you for. You're actually the innocent one in what I'm about to talk about, but go ahead. You have a 5% play up. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I also have a bone to pick with you is I love pineapple on my pizza. Pineapple, jalapeno, and sausage. It's great.
Yep. Let him know, Bryan.
Yes,
are we gonna trust
guys?
Bryan
I'm tired of these Italians telling me how to eat my pizza. All right?
Yeah, let him know, Bryan.
I will be doing 14 days of pizza reviews from April 14th to April 28th, live from Italy. I will be in Italy for 14 days. Venice, Rome, Amalfi Coast, and then Turin, where I am a guest and going to the Juventus game. I'll be sitting in the Fiat box, one of the sponsors of Juventus. But we'll wait till April till that comes. Bryan, I got to tell you, I saw a video that was posted of you. Andrew, you haven't seen this video. You may have seen it. You may not have seen it. But Bryan goes to a bar with Sig. If you guys know Sig from the WagerTalk site that does horse racing, Marco and Lori. And they're at this place called the Red Dwarf, Las Vegas. And it is the funniest thing. Marco is having this fancy drink that is called, believe me not, I just blew myself. That's the name of the drink. You have to blow it out before you drink it. And all you see is Bryan in the background cracking a beer open and just thinking, you could just see the look on his face. And he's like, you'll never catch me doing one of those things as he drinks his beer. Oh, man, like, how does Marco do it? But kudos to you, Bryan, because you went the route I would go, which is keep that thing away from me. Just give me my beer and let me enjoy my night out.
Well, Marco's a foo-foo drink guy. He's not a hard liquor guy or a beer guy. So he's normally drinking something with some kind of chocolate or something in it. So that does not surprise me at all that he ordered that, but we really enjoyed it when he started blowing himself on the drink. I didn't talk about the 5% play, but I do have a 5% play going today. A rarity. On a really nice run, 10-3, 20-11 in hockey, #1 over the last month, #1 in the history of WagerTalk in hockey. We had a Nice 5% on Detroit the other day, a nice plus 122 underdog. And we like this game just as much. So if you're looking for a big play today, you can get that. And if it doesn't win, you could call up Marco and he'll buy you one of those drinks over it next time you're in Vegas.
So that is awesome. Yes, we'll give you some Marco bucks for that one. With that said, guys, I mixed it up today. There's a ton of good games, but I'm taking a different approach to the games today for these guys to discuss. We're going to talk the Carolina Hurricanes hosting the Buffalo Sabres. The big matchup, the two teams that are right now in the Eastern Conference, 7th and 8th, the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. And then we're going to finish it off with Tampa Bay and Calgary. Calgary goes into Washington and upsets the Capitals 3-1. Let's see if they can do it to Tampa tonight, who are currently on a 6-game win streak. But with that said, Brian, Carolina minus 235, huge number here. Buffalo plus 190. Right now, it's looking like Kochekov and Luukkonen as the goalies. Total sits here at 6.5. How are you playing this one?
I'm glad you mentioned the games that you sent over because I was a bit surprised myself. Didn't think at the end of February we'd be talking about Buffalo, Columbus, and Detroit, even Calgary, and that effect. But it's nice to give a little bit of a difference. People are just tired of talking about the same games on this show, so this goes out to all those fans in those cities. Buffalo at Carolina. Believe it or not, these two are playing somewhat comparable hockey over the last month. Take a look at 5-on-5 expected goal share the last 30 games. Buffalo comes in at 51.26, Carolina 51.50. Despite the fact that Buffalo is 8th in the Atlantic and Carolina is 2nd in the Metro, the Hurricanes only have a net 30-goal advantage between these two on the season, and Buffalo won the only meeting so far, 4-2 in mid-January. The Sabres are on a really nice run right now, going 7-1 overall, but most of that success happened at home. They're only 4-12 away from home. Hurricanes were only 1-5 in the month of February. Who would have thought coming into the last 2 days of the month of February, and Carolina has one win the entire month? Did they take off more than the 2 weeks that everybody else did? This is a team that is really not playing well right now. And even though February is the shortest month of the season, they wish it would end yesterday. The host clearly has the motivational advantage here after not playing well this entire month. But this price is a bit high based on recent play. Because of the Sabres' questionable road play, I can't expect them to win outright. But I'll take the 1.5 here with Buffalo. Buffalo's playing just as well, catching 1.5 minus 130 range. I'll play Buffalo here in this game.
Hard to blame you, Brian, just especially based on recent form in this one here. But looking at that game that they played against the Montreal Canadiens, you got to think they're just disgusted with kind of the effort that they put forward, and you kind of think that this Carolina team is going to be a little bit disgusted with some of their recent performances overall. A lot of times I've talked about the whole quote-unquote system play totals-wise, and a lot of people have talked about this where it's betting overs in games in the first period or full game after a team was shut out. But I think that theory goes even more so into effect after a team was shut out against a below 500 team or a non-playoff team, because it's one thing to lose to a respectable team, and it pains me to say it, but it's one thing for the Hurricanes to lose to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs are in the first place spot in the Atlantic Division, but for them to get shut out 4-0 after a couple days rest against the Montreal Canadiens, that says something about this Hurricanes team and kind of where they are right now. And to your point, Brian, whether they've been playing non-playoff teams, playoff teams, who cares? This Sabres team is playing well. And yeah, they haven't really been scoring goals against teams that really are in playoff spots. In fact, none of their recent wins have been against playoff teams. You take a look at it, Ducks, Rangers, Preds, Jackets. I guess that one win over the Devils would be sort of impressive, but I think there's going to be so much motivation for both these teams, but especially early on in the first period, I do expect Carolina to push that pace. They are a team that over the years, we've always expected them to be a better first period team at home. They just seem to be a team that really does well at home. So the first period's a little bit juiced up at minus 135, 140 to the over. I do like that. And I am sprinkling on the minus a half at plus 110. So there is a possibility we can both win this one here, Brian. As long as they keep it within one in the full game. Carolina, I'm asking them to win the first period after 2 tough outings on the East Coast. Carm, there's certain teams that you look for to bounce back in the NHL. Some teams, they're in a bad rut. You say, you know what, you guys can do your thing. I'm going to wait until you get back on track. Carolina is a team that I like to try and predict when they are going to get back on track, similar to Colorado last night, getting back on track, playing at home after their tough game after the break against St. Louis. So first period, minus a half goal, plus 110. I love this plus 110 range in the first period. And hey, your Sabres are winning games, Carm, but they haven't won any games really against teams like Carolina.
Oh man, we're going mano a mano on this one, Andrew. I'm going to tell you, when I'm scouring numbers and looking at numbers, and you look at like the Sabres team, bottom of the standings, you would not think if you find positive numbers on a team that is the bottom of the Eastern Conference or bottom of the Western Conference, or whatever, you have to pay some attention to it. The Buffalo Sabres this season, while being in last place right now in the Eastern Conference, the Sabres are 27, 13, and 14 in the first period. They have I think the second or third best record overall, plus 14.21 units. It's the opening 20 minutes where the Sabres play well. It is the rest of the game where they do not play well, and that's why they're at the bottom of the standings. You're getting plus 155 on a Sabres team that have won a couple games in a row, came back from down 2-0 against Anaheim, scored 3 goals in the third period. And it's one of those things with the Sabres, I say each and every year following this team before I get into Carolina's numbers, is that they win a few games and they give their fan base a little bit of hope. For what? Just stay where you are right now, the bottom of the standings, get a better draft pick. Don't start playing well so you can finish 3 or 4 points out of a playoff spot and mush yourselves for a draft pick. But still, plus 155 first period for them. And then you look at first period overs with the Sabres, 16-9 on the road. The Sabres with first period overs. Carolina at home, 19-9 plus 6.75 units to the first period over. Both teams with positive numbers on that first period total, and you're only laying about $1.35 here. So a couple plays on this one. I'm going to take the Sabres plus 155, and I'm going to take the over 1.5 minus 135 for the first period. Both of them are first period plays. And the great thing about this is that if the Sabres score a goal, Andrew, you can't lose both plays. If the Sabres get one in the first period, you can't lose both because you're sitting on a plus 155 ticket that could cash, and you would lose the under if it finishes 1-0 at the end of the first for the Sabres. So I'll gladly take a 2-1 Sabres end of first period or 2-0 Sabres end of the first period, cash both of these free plays and move on. Can't really watch more than 20 minutes of this Buffalo Sabres team. With that said, 2 teams you can watch, Brian, are the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Minus 150 on Detroit, plus 130 on Columbus. Right now, the expected goalies, but not confirmed, are Talbot for Detroit and Elvis Merzlikins for Columbus. Who do you like in this one?
Well, the Blue Jackets limped into the break, losing 4 straight games. That wasn't much of a surprise when you take a look at teams without a winning culture who tend to relax before vacation. In fact, sort of like what's happened to us. Obviously, if you remember back when we went to school, we couldn't wait for the vacations to come up and you kind of tune yourself out for that last week. You see a lot of young teams, a lot of teams that are out of the playoffs do that on a regular basis in every sport. Although this Columbus team is really overplayed their expected wins this year, especially after the tragedy that happened before the season. I got to give them a lot of credit. They've been very good this year, and I'm rooting for them as an Ohio team. But they started after the break with back-to-back wins, and including a 6-4 victory over Dallas on Tuesday. And Dallas is playing some really good hockey right now, too. And they're one of the elite teams like the Carolina that you just spoke about. You would expect those teams to come out of the break really strong. This is the first game of 6 away from home ice, including hosting the Stadium Series against these same Detroit Red Wings coming up on Saturday. That's a big deal for both these organizations, especially Columbus, who's playing in the shoe. That is my only concern here, is the focus on this game, where that bigger game is coming up, which have the national focus. That's a concern here. So maybe we'll see something where maybe we'll get a little bit more scoring in this one. Maybe that's a different way to look at it. Detroit's played solid hockey, including winning 5 straight on the road. They beat the Blue Jackets 5-4 in the only other meeting this season. But based on the last 30 days on 5-on-5 play and expected goal share, we find Columbus at 47.07, Detroit at 46.53. So at this current number, we're going to be passing on this contest, maybe a slight lean with the over because of the situation on Saturday, but neither team has really been lighting it up over the last month scoring-wise. So I'll probably take this one and watch it and try to learn something for the future.
It seems like one of those games, Brian, where we could all just take the over and good things could happen. I mean, when these two teams get together, especially a game in Columbus, I was joking around on a show yesterday I was doing saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, but if there's a lot of out-of-market games on my TV and I'm looking to just watch a hockey game, I actually don't mind watching Columbus hockey this year. It's pretty fun to watch. Their games are actually exciting. They make plays, whether they're winning or losing. Typically, there's about like 6 or 7 goals, it feels like, in those games. And to your point, the way they've rallied around the passing of Johnny Hockey, the way they've been able to rally around as well with all the injuries to their team this year. I believe this is the game that they're going to get Captain Boone Jenner back. He is currently slotted in on that second line left wing spot. That should really bring a lot to a team, getting your captain back after he's missed so many months of hockey. You think about the success this team has had, and then you look at the amount of games that they've missed, and the amount of man hours that they've missed as far as their top guys like Sean Monahan and Boone Jenner. It kind of makes you think, what could this team actually be if they're actually fully healthy for once and they're able to get things going. But this is a huge game because you've got two teams that are neck and neck in that wild card position right now. At the same time, they're not going to remove the other team from a playoff spot, but they're going to really put that one leg up as far as the playoff positioning is concerned. When it comes down to it, I think that when you want to take a look at betting on or going against a team like Columbus, you got to look at team totals. And I haven't been giving out too many team totals the past couple shows here. And I think that's the way to go here with Detroit. I doubted Detroit against Minnesota because I said, you know what? They beat the Ducks. Sure. Yeah. Beating the Ducks isn't that impressive to me. In fact, a lot of the times that Red Wings have won lately have been against non-playoff teams. And a lot of teams right now in the NHL, guys, are going to take a good advantage out of their schedule. So it's a good time to remind people to keep it simple, stupid. If you see a team that has an advantageous schedule coming up, don't just bet them once, bet them twice, bet them 3 times, because that team is going to roll. And I do think Detroit will take advantage of getting Columbus tonight. And I think that I like the spot for them playing at home. So I'm seeing minus 105 for the Detroit Red Wings to reach the 4-goal mark. I know I've been tough on Detroit this year. I know I've kind of called them frauds a little bit. I'm waiting to hear from Johnny Detroit for me talking too much smack on his Red Wings. So today, I'm getting behind them. Take that team total, minus 105 on them to get to 4 goals. I think it's going to be great for Columbus getting their captain back, but I think in this game, Detroit plays very well on home ice. So, Carm, it's a real interesting game because neither of these teams have been in the playoffs in a long time. I think the last time that the Maple Leafs and Red Wings played in the playoffs, it was about 20 years before I was even alive. So that's what it's slated to be right now, Red Wings and Leafs. But I think it's good to mix things up, get some fresh teams in the playoffs. And these are the two teams right now in the Eastern Conference wildcard spots.
Yeah, Andrew, I'm going to have a free play at the end of the show on this one, so I'll talk about that then and there. But you keep egging on these Red Wings, and you might end up in human resources at WagerTalk, or Dan Alexander might be on the show, and it'll be called PuckTime and Lacrosse Picks, brought to you by Carm and Dan, where we argue about pineapple on pizzas as well too. But with that said, guys, before we get to Andrew's prop segment, I very rarely mention these things on shows. I don't think I've ever mentioned them on shows. But this is going out to the PuckTime community watching here live now, and then later on. I'm going to drop a link in the live chat, and I'll drop it in the comment section. Any of you guys who are clients or who've dealt with WagerTalk and have emailed into customer service, you have definitely spoken to Melissa. Melissa does an absolutely fantastic job for us in the Detroit office with customer service, with getting packages up for the guys and what have you. She's got a fundraiser going on for a dear friend of hers and a first responder who's going in for surgery. If there's anything that, no matter how small the amount is, that you are able to donate to it, just click on the link. Make a donation. You can keep it private. You can just say PuckTime Mafia. You're one of us, and we would definitely appreciate it. And I know she definitely would appreciate it as well too. So sometimes real life takes over more so than sports itself. But with that said, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this a little bit. And Andrew, I'm going to send it over to you for our props segment.
Very well said, Carm. We are all one team here at WagerTalk, and if we can help each other out, it's very important to do so. We went 1-1 yesterday on the props segment. It was kind of a nice one with the Ottawa Senators pick there. I had Tim Stützle to get an assist, and Ottawa scored one goal. And on that one goal, there was one assist, and our guy was the guy with the assist. So that was kind of exciting to go 1-1 in that fashion. But of course, today we'll try and go 2-0 here. We're going to stick with the assist market because I do like the assist market for the first one that I have. And it's going to be Leon Draisaitl minus 115. Now, last night, Nathan McKinnon, he caught up and passed Draisaitl in the Art Ross conversation, which is just the most points overall in the NHL. I think Leon Draisaitl will be ready to respond in this game tonight over Florida. Edmonton has not looked great since the Four Nations break, guys. In fact, that's putting it lightly. They've looked bad. Connor McDavid has the worst plus-minus in the last 3 weeks of hockey. That's not good. Just simply not good. And then you look at the fact is they got to play some tough teams out of the break, losing to Tampa, and then now have Florida, the defending Stanley Cup champions, on deck, even though they're injured, will be no easy task. But I do think Leon Draisaitl piggybacks this team. You know, and the fact is, some people would argue that the Oilers have, two of the top 3 or 4 or at least 5 players in the National Hockey League on one team. So when one player goes down in a little bit of a slump, the other player has their back. And I think Draisaitl is not just a goal scorer, he's a passer as well. Minus 115 for a Draisaitl assist. I really do like that number. The next one we're going to look at is in the Minnesota game. Minnesota, we're going to take a look at Boldy. Matthew Boldy get at least 4 shots on goal at plus 115. Boldy has really impressed me for this Minnesota Wild team. He impressed me for Team USA at the Four Nations. And Boldy, guys, has been pretty much the only person on the Wild that hasn't gotten injured over this season. I mean, I feel like I'm checking an NBA report every day when I look at this Minnesota roster because they're not actually load managing, though. They're actually just injured. This team has been so banged up, And Matthew Boldy has been one guy that's been out there consistently shooting the puck, high volume, high shot attempts. And Utah is a team that came off a really good game, but it was against the Blackhawks. This is a bit of a different game here when you go from playing the Blackhawks to the Minnesota Wild. I think Minnesota will catch them off guard early. We'll take Boldy 4+ shots on goal at +115. Back over to you, Carm.
It's a boldy move, Andrew. Let's see how that one works out for you. A little dodgeball reference there. Bri, this is a game that intrigues me because it looks like it's straightforward. Tampa Bay, 6 straight wins at home. You're laying 220 with them. Vasilevsky is confirmed. Calgary's goalie isn't confirmed as of yet. It's showing Wolf, but it could be Vidar as well too. They're +180. Total sits here at 6. The Flames have won what? They're 4-2 their last 6 meetings, regardless of where the game was played against this Tampa Bay team. But 1-4, I think their last 5 in Tampa. But they did win the last start, which was last year, 6-3 in Tampa. They got bombarded this year, 8-3 at home against Tampa. But they're 4-1 their last 5 away. This team's playing well. And I said they went into Washington and surprised Washington. And we see this sometimes from Western teams that come to the West, come to the East Coast, and somehow, and I know that Calgary is mid-Canada, but that come to the East Coast and just string some wins together, and you wouldn't expect it. We've seen San Jose do it. We saw Seattle Kraken do it, I think, last year, where they won 8 straight games. This is one where it's like +180 on Calgary. Can you take Calgary in this spot?
You mentioned it's mid-Canada, but still mid-Canada all the way down to Tampa Bay. That's a long way to go. The Flames struggled before the break, losing 4 straight, but they won both their games coming out of the break, including that impressive 3-1 victory over Washington on Tuesday. They've now gone 7 straight games without scoring more than 3 goals. And then when you take a look at expected goal share in 5-on-5 play the last 30 games, they're at 47.45. Tampa isn't much better at 49.08. So that would give you some thought on maybe taking the +180. But Tampa struggled at times this season, but are on their really good run right now, winning 6 straight games surrounding the break. That's what veteran teams do. They go into the break and take advantage of teams looking past the break onto vacation time, and when the other teams lose focus. So they've been able to do that. And as I mentioned, that's where these veteran teams gain an advantage. And they won 4 straight in this building, allowing just 6 total goals. So they're playing some very good defense. I expect some more of that defense here. I'm going to play the Flames under their team total of 2.5 at -130. Calgary struggling to score right now. Tampa Bay's playing great defense, and Tampa Bay's playing very good hockey. One of the few times this year they have is they've overall been a little bit of a disappointment so far this year. But I think the defense shows up tonight. I'll play Calgary under the 2.5 team total at -130.
You know, I feel like I'm maybe a little bit of a different page, Brian, about Tampa Bay, because I think that Tampa Bay is kind of undervalued this season. Like maybe it's not like I'm high on them. Like you said, they haven't lived up to full expectations. But I do think that when you look across the East right now, I've been saying this all year. I feel like people keep on forgetting about this team. Like this is like to me the NHL's Golden State Warriors in a little. Would you say a little bit? I mean, they went to the Stanley Cup for like 3 straight years. Remember when the Warriors won a few? They were in the finals for a few years, then they went away, and then they came back and won one. I just got that feeling about Tampa Bay this year where, you know, you just look at the East right now with Carolina, New Jersey, with Toronto, and then Florida, and it feels like it's just Tampa being like, hey, guys, we're still here. We still have Vasilevsky, who I still think is the best goalie in the league, you know, because Hellebuck's great, but until he proves he can win a couple playoff rounds, Vasilevsky still has the crown where I'm sitting. You've got Jake Gensel playing well. You've got Kucherov, you got Point, and the best part about Tampa Bay is the depth that they have. And Team Canada used that, and the Team Canada coach in the Four Nations was the Tampa Bay coach, and he had 2 players that were pretty much just shutdown players on that team. every single time it was a defensive zone faceoff and the best players from the other team were on the ice, he would send over Anthony Cirelli. There's a nice Italian name for you, Carm. And Brandon Hagel. Those two players were absolute shutdown players. And to your point, Brian, about defense tonight, I like that as well, because Tampa Bay is not just proven to be a good team offensively. They're proven to be a team that can win games in all types of ways. And, you look at Calgary getting that nice upset victory over Washington. I'm sure it's impressive, but I think a lot of us would probably agree that Washington, you hate to say this word in talking about betting, but Washington was probably due for a letdown. They were riding such a high after the Four Nations. Every game was going great for them. Going into the Four Nations, they look good. And then all of a sudden, Calgary comes in and surprises them with a little bit of a low-scoring victory. But now I'm going to look for the same thing. I'm going to look for Calgary team total under 2.5 goals at -120 here, Carm. Look for the exact thing to happen here, where Calgary looked really good defensively and playing well against the Caps, and now I think they get shut down against the Lightning. I'm telling you, this team, the Lightning, they got a very distinct feeling around their team. The top 6 are the goal scorers, and the bottom 6 are the shutdown guys. And if the bottom 6 guys score, then it's even better. It's an added bonus. It's a plus. And I think Braden Hagel has 2 goals in the first 2 games after the break. So I'm saying it here because I said it at the start of the show or start of the season. If you don't have any futures in on the Tampa Bay Lightning, this is my official announcement to grab some, because I do think that they're undervalued right now in the futures market. What do you think, Carm?
Yeah, well, a couple comments. First of all, yes, Cirelli is a good Italian name. He also does not put pineapple on his pizza. And when you're speaking of futures, you know who else does not put pineapple on their pizzas? Pietro Parolin. Now, there's a name you're thinking, I have no idea who this guy is. I've been talking to Kelly, who's in Mexico, Kelly Stewart, who's in Mexico on vacation the last couple of days, and he's my pick to be the next pope in Italy, in the Vatican. Andrew, he is steamed. It was like 650. He was down to like plus 400. Well, Bodog still has a couple of spots, still have plus 700 on him. He also does not put pineapple on his pizza. So there it is. You're watching Puck Time and you're getting a little bit of Pope betting. At the very least, when I go to hell, I've got closing line value on the Pope and who it could be. But with that said, Andrew, I look at this Tampa Bay one, and I always say there's numbers that you have to look at that you just cannot ignore. And while Calgary's playing well, and they went in and they shocked the Washington Capitals, Tampa Bay in 29 home games have only trailed after 20 minutes in 4. They are 16, 4, and 9, plus 10 units, third best opening 20-minute home team in the NHL this season. So if you're going to play Tampa Bay at 220, you could take them in the first period, hypothetically, and you could get them at minus 170 instead of the minus 220. So that's one way of looking at it. I wouldn't take the minus a half, because then that skews that 16, 4, and 9 number to a 16 and 13 number, because those 9 pushes would then become losses when laying half a goal. So take it for what it's worth. 16, 4, and 9 plus 10 units, opening 20 minutes on the money line for Tampa at home. So that's where I would lean at, a slight lean on that one. All right. Bryan, I'm going to go to you first. We know you have a big 5% play up at WagerTalk. Let us know what else is going on, and give us a show free play.
I do have that 5% play, and I don't do a lot of advertising on these shows. We've seen, if you've been with WagerTalk, there's a lot of guys that are really good at advertising. I don't think none of us are really that good at it. We take it the way we see it, and none of us have that kind of personality. But baseball season is less than a month away. There's going to be 2 games being played in Japan between the Dodgers and the Cubs. That's coming up in a couple of weeks here. I've had just as much success in baseball as I have in the NHL. Maybe it's just something to do with money lines as opposed to spread lines. But we all know they're number 1 in history in the NHL. I'm also number one in the history of Wager Talk in Major League Baseball. The last 2 years combined, number one in Major League Baseball net profit. We've got a fantastic special going right now. I talked about baseball coming up. It'll be here in less than a month. You can get my entire baseball season. That includes every play I release all the way through the World Series for only $599. Even better, since you're watching this show, I'm going to throw in my rest of the NHL season for just $1 more. $600. You get the rest of the NHL season, including tonight's 5% play, and our baseball season all the way through the World Series, just $600. Now, this isn't going to last. We've already pushed it back a little bit from our original times because we had so much demand for it. So get this now. If you're looking to buy baseball, I've been your man. I know Tokyo Brandon's great in baseball when he includes all the other countries' baseball, but just in the Major League Baseball, number one in the history. Hockey, number one in the history. Get it all, $600. My best bet, since I talked so long about this, I'll just go back to my first play that we discussed today, and that's Buffalo plus the 1.5, minus 130 is my best bet on today's card.
Great stuff,
right.
Brian.
I wish you the best of luck there. Sorry, go, Andrew. I was going to say, that is a great deal. I know you do baseball as well, Andrew, but that's a great deal. Brian does a lot of scouting. Brian goes to these baseball like symposiums or these meetings where a lot gets discussed. He goes to spring training. He picks up a lot there. I can imagine, like Brian's like, and Andrew, let's see if you can know this quote. You're so young, you might not know this quote. It's from a movie, but or it's a line from a movie. Hey, bada bada bada, swing, bada bada. You know what that's from?
I know that itself, but I don't know the movie. I've
from the Ferris Bueller movie. Cam, he is wearing the Detroit Red Wings jersey. See, I tied it all together. Hockey and baseball, tied it together. Cam, he destroys his dad's Ferrari at the end of it as well too. But Ferris Bueller, Matthew Broderick, they're at the baseball game and. Pretty good. So that's where that line's from. But that's a great deal from Brian. I'm kind of going off on tangents there. So take advantage of that. Andrew, I'm going to go real quick, and then I'm going to let you promote because you're off that 5% play. And I know that you're just running hot in hockey right now. Detroit's going to be my free play. It's up on the site as well, too. 9-1-1 their last 11 games overall. 9-2-1 their last 12 games at home. You're laying about $1.50 here. It could very well steam up a little bit more after that. I know Columbus is off a big win against Dallas, but they're a different beast at home on home ice, this Columbus team. They hit the road, not so much. I expect Detroit to keep that momentum going in a big 4-point game tonight. So give me Detroit minus 150. One play up tonight in NHL is a 4% best bet. You can get that over on my page at WagerTalk. Andrew?
Great stuff, Carm. Keep it going, man. And let's have a good night with this jam-packed slate, guys, the three of us. Let's take care of business here. And again, every deal, every promo, all of us at WagerTalk.com, Carmine, Brian, and myself. Yeah, super happy about that 5% play last night in the NHL. It was exciting. And, to hit those ones late in the third period, you just love to see it. So 72%, 2.7%. That's the run this year on 5% NHL plays. We also hit some 5% plays during the Four Nations tournament. 16-6-1, the record with 5% plays this season. And I've got one going again tonight. So don't usually double dip with the 5% on back-to-back days, but I found another one that I like quite a bit. So you guys can get that over at Wager Talk, or as Brian and Carmine will tell you, it's best to buy long-term. So you're going to get me for a week, for 30 days, whatever it may be for the rest of the NHL season. But hey, the past 2 days, I've had a play up for $35. That's $70. You guys could have just grabbed a week-long pass and get every single play that I released in one package there. But I love this 5% play. It's a situational bet, and I'm quite a situational handicapper. So let's make some money in this and keep that run going. My show free play is going to be the over in the Oilers and Florida game. And I just think that when I look at this game, guys, overall, The Oilers, sure, maybe not every goal has been Stuart Skinner's fault. Maybe they really have let him out to dry a little bit. But when it comes down to it, numbers don't lie. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And Stuart Skinner and the goaltending numbers analytically for the Oilers have not been good. So if you're in a slump as a team, you got to break out of that slump offensively. You got to break out of that slump with goals. I can't see them breaking out of their slump in a defensive manner. Not to mention Florida is a dangerous offensive team as well. When these two teams get together, I've got no problem betting an over 6.5. Not to mention the Stanley Cup rematch. Oilers are going to be fired up for this one. Panthers want to defend their home ice. Give me the over 6.5 in this one. Make sure you grab all of our plays, guys, over at WagerTalk. Let's cash these tickets on the ice tonight in the NHL. And that will do it for today's show here on Thursday on PuckTime on WagerTalk TV. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time right here on PuckTime.